Hello, I'm James Cridland, the radio futurologist, and every week or so I write a new newsletter all about international radio trends and stuff like that, and you're not reading it because instead you're listening to it, and that's all fine. It's at james.crid.land if you'd like to read along. Happy New Year! Apologies for the abrupt silence at the end of last year. It was due to ill health, but not that sort of ill health. And I had to prioritise a little in terms of my workload. But I hope you had a great holiday period and are raring to go, it says here. I mean, obviously I'm recording this in the middle of January. But still, the thought's still there. Thanks to Podcast Partners for being the sponsor of this newsletter in 2022. So that's nice of them. Firstly, Morgan Stanley released some data around Spotify use compared to AM/FM radio in the US. It's really, really interesting stuff, showing how strong AM/FM radio still is, but also showing how much Spotify and other similar services are eating out of younger audiences. Arguably, if media senior management are 50 plus, they could be very out of touch with how people are consuming their product. And it should be noted that Morgan Stanley are a major shareholder of Spotify. They own 7% of the company, so it's in their interest to talk Spotify up a bit. The pandemic is on us again. I linked to a video of how national radio broadcasting on the BBC now works, which is a wonderful little video of a man called Stuart, who's a nice man, reading the traffic news on national radio, starting in the kitchen and then going into the Home Office where Stuart's there. And meanwhile, another Twitter thread, this time on how TV reporting works. There's no bulky cameras or satellite dishes in use these days, but instead mobile phones and decent lighting. It's very smart. AM radio continues to decline in Europe. Czech Radio was the latest broadcaster to cease transmissions on medium wave and long wave at the end of last year. Audio and auto manufacturers are beginning to remove AM radio from vehicles as a result. But it's interesting seeing an Australian car website, not a radio website, but a car website, raising the alarm about missing AM in the car. Radio is, according to the data, one of the most trusted media around, but the local radio DJ interview scam is a video from a YouTuber who found one of those pre-packaged drop-in-your-own-questions interview discs that we all used to use a long, long time ago. Actually, I don't think I ever used them. I used to interview down the line a fair amount when that became relatively popular, so that pop stars didn't have to drive around the country. And when I was on the radio, even that felt a little bit duplicitous, frankly, sitting there and recording somebody who was sitting in a very nice studio in London, and there I was up in Bradford. But still, there we are. I linked to a new podcast font, which includes a little radio icon, and that new podcast font might be useful to you in terms of promoting where your stuff is available online, so that's a good thing. More than 15 years ago, I also thought it would be a good idea to give mediauk.net email addresses out to people. I thought that they'd find it easier to hop between jobs if they had one, and it was some nice marketing for my website as well, which at that point was called Media UK. Now, that domain name comes up for renewal every so often. This time, I thought I'd check to see if anybody was still using it, given I've not promoted it for 14 years. But it turns out that they are. 18 people have logged in over the last 2 weeks, which is impressively old school. I paid the $29 for the domain, and I noticed that somebody very kindly paid me some money for that, because he uses that email address every day. So thank you so much. The ABC in Australia has Australian audiobooks in their radio, music and podcasts app ABC Listen, which is a very clever idea. The BBC does have an audiobooks category in BBC Sounds, but it's not really the same, as you'll see. And imagine the public value tests if the BBC started doing audiobooks fully. Talking about the ABC, the British may know that there was some cricket played over the last month. Sorry about the result. The broadcaster's sports coverage has its own radio station, which used to be called ABC Grandstand until last year, but it was quietly and rather sensibly rebranded to ABC Sport. Good idea. It's on DAB Plus and the ABC Listen app. Coverage is also taken on ABC Local Radio's analogue services, and they posted some very impressive online audience figures from the first Ashes test, which is worth a peek. I linked to those from this edition of the newsletter. I also had no idea that the Great British Bake Off isn't called that in the US, or why, or how they cope, therefore, with the very conspicuous InVision trophies and things like that. So I linked to a video from Captain Disillusion, and I'd encourage you to check out some of his other videos if you're interested in visual trickery. He's a very good YouTuber, well worth a read. BBC Television in the Northwest broke slightly the other day, and I linked to an interesting thread of what went wrong and what happened. And it's a really good post. I'm sure it's not sanctioned at all by anybody at the BBC, but it doesn't pretend to sugarcoat or patronise. It's just really interesting tech information about what went wrong and how they went to fix it. So congratulations to the person who posted that. Andrew Rossindell, an embarrassing Conservative MP, wasted parliamentary time by asking the Culture Secretary, Nadine Dorries, about how they can get the BBC to play the national anthem at the end of broadcasting every night. Now, neither Rossindell nor Dorries appears to know that BBC Radio 4 does exactly that. BBC Television doesn't anymore because there's no end of broadcasting on a 24-hour channel. But it's all a bit desperate, isn't it? I may have something to say about that, the next one that I do of these. Full of in-jokes, YouTube japesters Larry and Paul have posted a Duolingo course to learn the language of radio. It's very funny. I link to that. Also, I link to a new radio station beer, which you can try. There are radio station beers all over the place, and this is a brand new radio station beer. It is being done with Vermont Public Radio, and it's called Brave Little State Pale Ale. Don't quite understand where the tie-in is with the radio station, but I'm sure that there's something about... Oh, right. Oh, I see. Brave Little State is VPR's nationally recognised narrative journalism podcast. So it's called after a podcast, which is a nice thing. Many congratulations, them. Literally a captive audience. I link to a story about a radio station for death row prisoners in Texas, which is interestingly available on AM and audible outside the prison, if not very far. Seems a security risk to me. Anyway, the station carries programming from NBC News, CBS Sports. It's got religious output on there as well, and plenty of comedy. And Global's accounts were published up to March 2021. Matt Deegan dug a little and discovered quite a lot of data, which I'll probably tell you about next time. I say I'll probably tell you about next time. I've already recorded next ones. Yes, Global's outdoor business is much bigger, actually, than Global's broadcasting business, but I'll bet you the profit margins are wildly different anyway. Thank you to Greg Butler for buying me some nice coffees, and also to Matt Lissack for your kind coffee-related support. Buymeacoffee.com/James Cridland. He writes, I always enjoy your regular thoughts and insights. A coffee on me. And the Media Mentor, who writes, always enjoy the informed and insightful news from the world of audio. Keep up the good work. Which is very kind of you. So thank you very much for supporting me, along with Richard Hilton, James Masterton, and Brunn Audio Consulting for your ongoing support of this newsletter. I'm very grateful to you. Buymeacoffee.com/James Cridland. My professional website has more details about who I am and what I do and whether I can help you further. You'll find that at james.cridland.net. And until next time, keep listening.